Back in business, it's time to see what SK can do with 2K. A new addition, North American hopeful Stewie 2K is going to be taking on none other than Valiance. It could not be more of an underdog story when you think about history. Let's not forget, this is a team that has done what no one else has been able to do. Back-to-back major titles. They've won consecutive events to the point where they lost count. SK Gaming made a roster change. That was already eyebrow-raising. The fact that Stewie takes his place is a conversation we're about to have. And I say we, I am joined at the desk by Janko Paunovic and Sean Gers. Gents, this is such a mismatch. It's actually quite a lot of fun when you think about it. You have got SK, who need no introductions, with Valiance, who some of our viewers are sitting there going, who? What's that logo? Who is this? And now we're going to sit here, and in my opinion, we might even start weaving a story of somewhat of a chance for Valiance here, Janko.
I mean, a chance always exists, right? There are diminishing factors for SK, the roster change recently, right? The fact that it's going to be a best-of-1 game and so forth. But let's face it, SK is still SK, and whoever would be on the other side in this game, SK would most likely still be the favorite.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even though it's a weakened SK, they're still, you know, a top 5 team in the world.
Yeah, it's Superman, even though he's got like a little bit of kryptonite in his pocket, like he's still Superman. But this is what I want to explore, kryptonite metaphor aside. Stewie 2K moving to SK. I think this has to be our primary conversation because this is such a big story. A player wins a major, often and is widely regarded as the best in his team, if not the region, and it's been a very quick rise to power for him. And then pursuing SK Gaming, a team who are undoubtedly the best in his region and have been for a long time. Sean, what did you make when you first saw that news post or when you first heard about it?
When I first saw it, I thought it would be an excellent fit, right? Stewie's that player from NA that has the drive. He's the perfect player to fit in the SK system. People that only want to win, they practice all the time. They're constantly innovating and adapting. And that's Stewie. That embodies Stewie's character perfectly. But the more you look into it, it's like, okay, the communication problem could be an issue. The cultural thing, you know, he has to live with them. So it's an interesting mix, and it could go either way.
Has it been done before, into your knowledge, like that kind of mix?
Yes. Not a 4-1, huh?
NOA.
Well, that wasn't a 4.
if you want to go like real back. But I think, listen, the problem isn't here. Stewie, for one, is obviously an incredibly skilled player. He's a very driven player, motivated, as Sean pointed out. But the thing here is, it's not about what's going on now. Obviously, he's going to do whatever it takes. If he has to play Taco's roles and play like Taco, he would be willing to do that for the team if the team is going to win tournaments. Absolutely. But what happens if they don't? What happens if, okay, let's not go and say they lose here and drop out of groups here, but let's say they don't make an amazing run at this tournament. Fine, it's the first tournament, everything. Next tournament up, Sydney. What happens if they get to the playoffs and then lose to FaZe in a series? Okay, FaZe, very good team, even with Exist. But it's a lot of these little things, and 2 or 3 months may pass, and if they're not having a tournament win, or at least like a couple of finals, what happens then? Then this project that was made simply to, you know, give them like that X factor, get like the best player we can available at the moment or willing to join us, it's not really panning out, and we're forced to communicate in English, and Stewie is forced to play a different role. He's not like the sole star of the team or the main star. Then probably friction is going to happen, and that's when you wonder why even begin all of that on such a huge gamble that results are a must.
And results are a must in this group. We'll bring it up so you can see exactly how things are going to be playing out for them. It is Group B, and you can see where we find ourselves. This is going to be the initial match for SK. Excuse me, take it back. It is going to be a lower bracket game after conceding to NIP. Now, this is where things get interesting. It's a best-of-1. Curveballs, all of that good stuff. Valiance have zero pressure on them. If in Janko's scenario, they lose this map, we are going to be seeing them go home in the group stages, and that's when your downward spiral as you're creating and crafting becomes it's a step closer to reality. Sean, is that going to happen though? You said you've actually had a bit of an advantage over both of us. You've seen them play. I haven't had a chance to watch them play too much with sleeping schedules and stuff like that.
Yeah, SK does still look really innovative. They look very strong, but they like playing, you know, like Cash, and they let Inferno through a lot. So the upside potential is there. I still have to side with them, though. Like, I have to side with SK. Of course.
No, I can understand that, but let's bring up that veto, because you just mentioned you played a lot of Cash, letting Inferno through. Valiance, we've only seen them on Mirage, right, Janko?
Cash, Inferno, Mirage is where Valiance would love to take this, right? And I think there's a very, very good chance, or a guarantee that they will get one of those 3 maps. And from that point on, I think this matchup is pretty simple. I think SK coming out of the gates, they're going to try and bully Valiance with their sheer individual skill, right? They're not going to give them any respect. And if Valiance can weather that storm, then we might have a game on our hands. The second problem for them is, SK, as we see, the end map is going to be Mirage, with SK beating out Cash and Inferno. You know, that's going to be fine for Valiance. They already played a lot of rounds on the game, which is great for a team coming into such a big tournament, right, to play the same map. SK played at the same time, so couldn't really watch the game either. So what I was going to say is the other thing that SK is really, really good at is clutches, right? Retakes, clutches, composure, all of that stuff, and that's where we saw Valiance, and we know that they struggle a bit. So in that sense, it is a mismatch to an extent.
Let's take a closer look at SK. You can see where they currently stand and their recent results as well. But as we take a walk through that roster, Sean, why don't you go ahead and give us a little tidbit for each of those names on screen?
Yeah, Bolts obviously can hold down the A side on Mirage really well. Fur, super aggressive player, always going to open up rounds for SK. Fallen, very dynamic with the AWP, likes to be very aggressive, much like Fur. Cold is the passive player, kind of like always likes to sit back and let things come to him. It's very difficult to get kills on Fur, or I'm sorry, Cold Zero.
Yeah.
And then we have Stu, who's another high impact player that plays really smart. Actually, he came into the scene, was really known for his aggression, but when you watch him more play now, it's more reserved and kind of keeps things close to the vest.
I can't help but feel that is an interesting one regarding Stewie and how you've gone from being quasi in-game leader / you've come up with these guys. You have a big part of the conversation in that game, right? You are a big contributor to how the game's going to be played, how you want to play. Suddenly you're fitting into someone else's system. In my mind, trying to suddenly, instead of what you envisioned being what's executed, suddenly you're just going to be another cog in the machine. I can imagine that's quite an uncomfortable experience for someone when they initially transition, exist in phase. That's a tough one, slotting into a team.
Yeah, I think it's also a matter of he perhaps wants that, because he saw with Cloud9, if you're going to leave after you win the major, that means you're not satisfied with just winning a one-off tournament every couple of months or once or twice a year. Even if it's a major, you want to be consistently in a position to win titles similar to where FaZe is. And you should never underestimate the desire of players to play with coldzera, the best player in the world, and Fallen, arguably the best in-game leader in the world. So that prospect is just such a huge thing.
Quite the contrast as well now as we take a little look at none other than Valiance. From 8th in the world to 32nd. Janko, why don't you give us the rundown of these 5?
Yeah, so starting on the right, the newest addition to the team, Impulse. He is the main opera of the team. Look, comparing to someone like Mertz or Draken, right? Young, flashy, a bit inconsistent, but he is also the most inexperienced one. And then have guys like Nano, he's the in-game leader. Emi also does gives a lot of ideas. Nano is the guy who look to clutch rounds. He's very good game sense, a very smart player. Hunter and Nano are like on the two extremities, basically. They do a little bit things on their own, sometimes without the support of the team. And Emi, Letni, and Impulse, they go together basically as a group. Emi as the entry fragger, and then Letni and Impulse are there to trade kills if necessary. But you saw, we saw them on Mirage. They have a couple of very good executes or strats. The one where Hunter goes into the boost and then flanks all the way to CT. Yeah, I saw someone tweet out, it's like, yeah, he did that. He gets such good timings. It's not an accident. People draw out attention while he's in window so that they force rotation, so that he has that timing is basically created for him. So there are some elaborate things that they have implemented in their game, and that's where their strength is. They will have like a couple of things like that. It's the basics, the fundamentals, where they sometimes might falter, as we saw again in the Mousesports match, where they lost 2 4v2s in the first 2 rounds, which, if that went the other way, would have probably been enough to get them the win.
And that's going to be my next question here, Sean. I mean, did you catch that Mirage game?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
right. So they get 2 rounds on their CT side and manage to make it a 16-13 game against a team that many consider to be one of the best at Mirage. I mean, they have a shot here.
They definitely have a shot here. That CT Mirage half they played against Mousesports seemed like it could have went the other way. They lost that pistol round in an advantageous scenario. Like Janko said, they lost several actually advantageous scenarios throughout that half. They had a lot of gamble stacks where Mousesports just seemed to avoid them or circumvent them in certain ways. That might not happen in this game.
Yeah, because it was caused by them realizing if you let Mousesports plant, it's going to be very difficult to retake against them. So that was a specific game plan for that team.
This is going to be different.
It's going to be interesting to see. I'm assuming that the approach is going to be at least slightly different, right? Because you're dealing with a different team. If anything, you wonder how good are they going to be to even get to the site without losing too many men.
And this is where I now turn to you, Sean, and ask you for predictions. They are writing these all down. I assume there's going to be a tally at the end, so play the game. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I have to go with SK. I think it's going to be closer than a lot of people think. Part of me wants to pick the underdog here, but I have to side with SK.
I'll be that part of you, Sean. I'm going for my boys.
Spicy.
Nice.
There's no really other option for me if I ever want to go back to Serbia. So, yeah, I think it's great that they get to play Mirage and everything. So if they were ever going to upset SK, this is probably the best map to do it, if not Inferno.
Yeah, and I saw Valiance's manager walking around, and he's not someone I'd want to be angry at me. So I'm going for Valiance too. Big up Valiance. Let's be friends. Oh, Yanko, what's going on here? You've been trolled.
Hey.
Hey. Hey,
guys.
sort it out right now before he's not allowed back in. But yeah, that's going to be
I won't
really
be fixing
interesting.
any more issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tech support Yanko is going to take an extended retirement.
Thank you.
Okay, so now 2 for Valiance. But, you know, all of the dank memes aside, this is very, very important for SK. They could be eliminated from their first offline showing with their, you know, problem-solving roster change.
And the thing is,
Valiance.
you talk about the SK team that has such great mental fortitude and everything. They've been on a string of really bad results for their standards, right? Not even making playoffs in some of the tournaments or exiting like playoffs very early. That's not SK. They even when they're not on their A game, they always get there, right? To those deep runs. Hence the roster change. So you wonder if things start going south here, are they going to lose control? If
that momentum that we saw from Mouse Sports is in Valiance's court, who knows? Let's meet your casters, though. We'll bring them back in to join us in this conversation, because it's so scary. SK with Mr. 2K, Hank, what do you reckon?
I'm quietly hopeful for them, but I've got a slight feeling this could be another massive upset. Mirage as well, I'm surprised they let this one slip through. They seem pretty handy on it. They gave Mouse Sports a run for their money after going down 13-2, Vince. This still could go wrong.
Absolutely, but it was pretty one-sided on both sides, right?
Sure.
Like the CT side was pretty poor, so I do wonder if that's going to be an issue against SK.
In a best-of-1 environment, SK looking very streaky right now. I think this is going to be a good game. I still definitely think SK will win it, but I hope we get the double digits and we get them sweating a little bit over in the Brazilian camp.
Yeah, I just want to see some more of those Hunter window boosts. Did you guys catch that before?
Yeah, that's
so
it's
naughty.
a lot of fun. He seems like he's going to be a great player and a name to look out for. It's a good platform to him to really showcase himself, and hopefully this team can cause a dent. And I'm really excited for this one. I feel like SK still have a lot of work to do in this particular squad. Stewie doesn't really seem to be taking it too well. He's not performing at a level we'd expect. Obviously, it's going to take time, but this should be a lock-in win for them.
All right, Hank, we're just going to dash.
All right, mate.
We'll leave it to it.
See you later. Well, there we go. It will be myself and Vince to guide you through this one. We had a very one-sided game to kick things off in Space Soldiers before. Could we see a similar scoreline here, do you think? Do you think we'll be seeing those double digits?
It's hard to say. I mean, I've been casting a lot of Valiance recently. I do a lot of the qualifier games, you know, for a lot of the open events that we see at DreamHack. Sure. And these guys typically get pretty far on each of the E1s, so I have a pretty decent amount of time casting them. I think this, as Sean said, I actually think this game could be a lot closer than many people are anticipating. Obviously, with the best-of-1 format, you never really know the way the chips are going to come down. But the fact, as you said, it's on Mirage. They've already played well against Mouse Sports, who are one of the favorites to take this entire event on one of their best maps. Surely these things only bode well.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the 5th game of the day. We've got one more to come after this, another elimination game, so stick around for that. As we get into SK Gaming versus Valiance & Co. SK starting on the CT side here on Mirage. We'll have a look at the buys as they come in. 4 sets of armor on the CT side with an incendiary, not a defuse kit. That is quite an interesting addition. 1 smoke for the Valiance boys. They've got a couple of flashbangs as well. They will be committing heavily towards the B side of the map. There's only 1 player there for the SK boys. That's going to be Bolts. He's waiting in the window, so this is actually a perfect place to go. They're almost certainly going to get bombed out of this. Bolts doesn't find an entry as they jump past his shots, and this is bombed down, and retake will begin momentarily.
And as you highlighted, this is a retake without a kit. This could be very sketchy for SK Gaming. They've thrown down their incendiary flat onto the site. Hunter's taking a lot of damage, but Letney is going to open up with a first kill, looking for a second one. Backed himself 2, not quite a third. But the kills are still surely going to go in favor of Valiance with that bomb planted. Downside now, though, is that Stewie's moving in, and 2 beautiful one-taps. Emmy and Hunter get obliterated, leaving just Neno, and he's not going to be able to stop. And SK do it even without the kit.
That was disgusting from Stewie. My God. Okay, I called him out in that pre-game, but he certainly proved me wrong there. Great play from him. Crisp stuff with the USP. Didn't seem to miss a single shot there as he went for the retake. And that's going to be Valiance getting the bomb down at a round they probably should have won, all things considered. Vince, they had a 5-on-5 bomb down. No defuse kit as well. Lots of variables going in their favor. Couldn't quite convert it, though. So, AK's coming out in the 3rd, presumably. A little bit of investment here from Hunter. He gets to CZ out, PT50s as well. There's a deagle for Letney. And we'll see whether they can get the bomb down here. That would be a bit of a stretch considering they've got no nades or armor on Mirage. Deagle presumably faces towards the window first. We'll see if that rings true. Stewie, the M4 does significant damage, finds the first kill as well. Good grenade towards the underpass. He's really feeling it this game, it seems. Couple of kills for him. Damage towards Hunter as well. The round guaranteed at this point. We're really interested in the next one. So the AKs will come out. Fallen's even saving for the orb fence, just to know he can bring that out for the first gun round, which is coming a bit early because of that bomb going down to the pistol.
Which makes them getting a clear-cut round here even more important. Oh, Stewie, uncharacteristically making a bit of a dog's dinner out of that. There's going to be Bolts that cleans up with the nade, and down goes Hunter. So all good. Fallen's able to pick up the Fallen weapon, can drop that to his teammate, pick up the AWP for himself if he so chooses, and they're good to go.
This is the first time I've casted him. It's still so weird to see Stewie in that jersey.
It really is.
I was like, it's been a mistake. What's happening here? And he's in Cloud9 for the longest time, 2 years or so. And now playing for SK Gaming. Who would have thought that a year ago? He told me that. I said, you are nuts. That's crazy talk. But either way, we'll get into the first gun round here. AK's coming out, 2-0 to SK. Like I said, Fallen does bring out the AWP nice and early. Good decision, I think, in the second round to set that CZ. An educated risk, I would say. Could have gone wrong if they lost a couple of frags at the start. Either way, we'll see whether Fallen can find some frags. We're going towards B. Just one player faking the A round. That's Nino. Or Neno. What are you going with?
I think I'll go with Neno, but I think either's fine.
We'll go Neno, that works.
He's dead anyway.
Well, it was a good try. And now is it the Bolts who had to go with a flashbang. If you get one kill, that'll be enough for the round, I would say. Can he convert it to two? Certainly can. One by one, they go. They still haven't taken him down. Finally, he's put to bed, so is Fur. And we have a round on our hands. It's going to be Fallen's trying to deny the plant. He'll actually let them have it. Doesn't want to risk anything here. Just make sure you win the round. That's the objective. Hunter. He's actually Nico's cousin, believe it or not, guys. So he's going to have that natural skill within his DNA. He's certainly a player to watch. There's a lot of conversation around him. 3 versus 2 now, 30 HP for him. As Fallen decides to jump out the window. Here we go. Retake will begin. Still a slight chance for Valiance and Co here.
Fallen trying to make a move in with his AWP, but not required. Stewie will batter down Letney and Hunter. None of that defuse comes into fruition, but the good news for Valiance is at least a couple kills with a bomb plant does keep their economy ticking forward nicely, even though they have lost.
It's true. Like, it's not as bad as it looks. Sure, they're 3-0 down, and they just force-fought into this one with the bomb in the pistol, but they're getting the plants down, and they'll probably take a partial buy here, but they're still in this game. It's still very early days. Let's not get too carried away just yet. It would have been great if they got the 3-0 and had a real solid platform to build upon. Now the grind really begins for them. They will be going with the CZs, Deagles. Hunter going for the helmets. He got a few more kills than his teammates. A helmet cost $1,000, so there's a significant investment, but Neno, he'll be just using that deagle towards the window. That'll be a guaranteed kill for Stewie, if I'm being completely honest, and couldn't quite find it. He'll be punished for the miss, and it's a 4-on-4. There was a kill back from Fallen with the AWP.
M4 picked up courtesy of Hunter in the window, as they highlighted on the desk before. Does like to get himself busy around this position on Mirage. Trying to thread something which the rest of his team can really build off, but SK aren't really offering too many opportunities. CORSAIR peeks out, and Hunter will get the straight-up trade onto him. 1v1, dropped down to 4 health, but is able to toss the M4 to Emmy, who doesn't have Kevlar, it should be mentioned. Only Hunter has any. But with such low health, Gust of Wind would take him down at this point, so he has to trade that across. They're going to be moving towards A, and SK actually have nobody here. Instead, they've got Fallen pushing up mid, so A site is ripe for the taking.
He'll realize his mistake at this point and fall back. It looks like he's actually going back towards B. It's going to be a rotation coming through. The CTs with Bolts now in spawn. Obviously, Valiance don't have any sort of information. Yep. This is a possibility. They can't just run into the sites and have that intel. They've only got pistols, really. Emmy with the M4A4, no armor. Hunter would take it, but he's only got 4 HP. Bolts is biding his time. You can hear the footsteps around the A site. Now they're going for not exactly a safe plant, a bit of a risk, and down it goes. The round should be slipping by them. Good work from Bolts. Didn't panic too much. Just made sure he got what he had to do done and denies the plant. That was the headline of that particular round. And we'll go into another purchase here from Valiance and Co. And we'll see whether they can start to cause a dent here on the defense of SK. They are keeping them within an arm's reach. It's not like SK are winning every single round of 5 players surviving. So double AWP setup. Fallen and Stewie now. Obviously, it used to be CORSAIR and Fallen for the longest amount of time. Stewie, definitely a very capable sniper as well. We'll see whether he can cause some damage here. fully committed now. Takes the Molotov in the face and flashed as well. Lucky to still be alive at this point, but looking to take down Fallen, misses that particular shot. No damage inflicted either, as Letney will be holding towards middle for any CT aggression to come through.
I actually spoke to Letney and the coach of Valiance last night, and they were saying ahead of their mouse sports game that they feel no pressure coming into this event.
Oh, why would you?
They're here just for the experience. They're here just to enjoy themselves, be on one of the grandest stages of all CS. So I think this is so much good that they're getting out of this, even if they do end up getting knocked out.
As long as you have games where you can learn from. That mouse sports game was looking disastrous. The fact they brought a 13-2 scoreline back to, what, 16-14, I think it was, still suggests that they can take that demo away and learn a lot from it. They've definitely got the potential. Mouse sports are the #2 ranked team in the world right now, and they're getting them right on the rope. So that's definitely promising as we get into, the final commitment from Valiance. They're going to be going for the execution. Smoke's coming in. See if the sniper can shut them down.
Full set play into fruition. The mollies are thrown out to try and counter the push, and it's done just that. With flashbangs accompanying it, really, Valiance haven't been able to get too many footsteps forward. Finally, they're going to start to push out of ramp, but it's met by Stewie's AWP. Emmy straight through the smoke, claims the kill. Back onto Stewie, and Valiance have the player advantage just for a few more moments before Bolt strikes, but so does Neno. Keeping the player ahead, CORSAIR now steps in from jungle, wreaking havoc, but the bomb in amongst all the chaos has been planted.
Here we go then, a real chance for Valiance. 2-on-2, Neno deploying the Molotov towards jungle. That's actually very successful. Good position from Impulse, but the timing might be slightly off. Fallen has to use the CZ. If he had the AWP out there, it could have been brilliant. CORSAIR looking to finish things off here, can't quite do it. Fallen the pistol will close it out. The closest they've come to a round yet. Comes down to the 1 versus 1. A bit awkward for Fallen there. Didn't expect a player so close and challenging when he had the pistol out. They still win the round. And there we have it, 4-0 for SK. And we'll be getting into the next round momentarily. 5-0, I should say, Vince. We've got a delay in front of us. I'm getting a bit carried away. But it is 5-0 for SK. And Valiance will be purchasing up. This is their maximum loss bonus now. Looks like they're going for a set piece off the bat. Always suggest things are getting a bit desperate, especially if you lost 5 rounds in a row. You're just trying to, okay, let's just not do any default here. Let's not let them bully us at the start of the round. We'll just get in there as a 5-man unit and see if we can trade our kills. They'll be smoking towards CT spawn from Letney, smoking towards the steps, jungle. Molotoving the bomb site, usually maybe Shadow or the balcony. We'll see which way they're inclined. They've got 1 player waiting in the palace area. Here are the smokes. Like I said, no players elsewhere on the map. They have to fully commit to this.
Another set play on A. We'll see Valiance try to break the curse. But the bomb's been dropped straight off the bat, and CORSAIR goes to task onto Hunter 2. Fallen comes in for 2 quick kills. And this round, well, it's pretty much just done, Henry.
I think you might be right there. At least you're onto something, as Letney will be in a 4-on-1. He's got no nades, he has not got the bomb, and he's got some of the scariest players in Counter-Strike to take down to even have a chance within this round. He'll be going towards the palace area right now. Bravely peeks towards the steps. Needs to find maybe a couple of kills. That would be at least not a wasted round. But CORSAIR is looking on point in this particular map. 3 kills for him. Didn't really break a sweat there. Hiding on the bomb site. Waiting for the flashbangs to come in. Dropped his utility. Sprays down 2. Fallen's there to back him up. And it's a very, very clean round from SK Gaming. Here's it from Fallen's POV. This is just pretty standard stuff from him. You can see that's as standard as it gets for Fallen. Just standing in an open position, hitting shots, going to cover, hitting the 1 shots, 6-0, and a partial buy here for Valiance. They can go for Deagle's armor and some nades, considering that a maximum loss bonus, but if you're not planting every single round, that does fall apart quite quickly. You have to take one of these partial buys.
It was important for SK to get a dominant round too, because before then, as they went for their buy, a few players were actually very low on money, so that's bolstered their economy a little bit more. Valiance, the 3rd consecutive round, will be looking to apply some pressure onto the A site, not deterred by these previous slaughter fests, but Stewie is going to go in for the first kill, even trade back. Not bad considering that Valiance only have CZs to play with. They're actually going to take the advantage.
This is looking quite good, Vince. 3 versus 2, Fur and Bolt. 2 very difficult names to take down here. Sure, they've got the man advantage, but how long can they hold on to that? 4, another bit of damage there. Nano goes down to 12 HP, and this is where SK did their absolute best work. Slow, methodical retakes, but this one could fall apart. Fur up against it now, still with 100 HP. He's got to find both these kills. They challenge at the same time. And finally, a round goes on the board for Valiant. And it's a partial buy as well. You can see how those set pieces can be so deadly. Back in the day, they were so viable. You remember the Tech 9 situation we used to have? Run and gun with that particular weapon. It's not as strong with the CZ, but certainly viable, as you can see. Tech 9 has a nightmare to defend against this. But there it is that great peak at the same time. Good coordination between the two to manage to take him down at the very same time. That's how you want to do it. You don't want to make it two separate one-on-ones. You want to make it one singular, 2 versus 1 there, and they do it perfectly. And they've got good fundamentals, this team. They can certainly aim. They know how to play the defaults, how to execute. Problem is, are they in the same league as SK Gaming? I'm not sure just yet. They've got a lot of work to do here. But winning the partial buy means they do get a lovely, healthy purchase here. And Fallen will be calling the tactics here. You do actually get options on the CD side of Mirage. Obviously, you can go aggressive towards middle. You can push the Orpa toward Palace. You can push 2 towards Beer Palmas for the first pick. Plenty of options. Not as like you're running the same setup every single round.
And especially as Valiance have been very eccentric so far on their T side, you do question if SK are going to try and mix something up. It doesn't look like it just yet. I'd imagine Valiance this time not going to go A.
I was going to say maybe Fallen gets close up to the A ramp, something like that, just to go for that first pick. Doesn't look like that's the case, actually. He'll be holding by jungle, just looking towards the Palace, I'd imagine. He's got CORSAIR on the bomb side itself. Here we go. Valiance alive and kicking now. They've got the AWP in the hands of Impulse, who Yanko was singing the praises of at the desk. Oof, that's a lovely pick, though. Sure, takes a bit of damage there, but he certainly shuts down whatever default they had in mind, whatever map control they're looking for. And Stewie looks poised to get the second. I think he saw the barrel there. Ooh, shot fired. That's by Letney, so certainly gives it the fact that they are in position, maybe boosting up towards window here.
Bomb still at T-spawn, though. So even if Valiance were to get entries, got to trek back and pick it up. And I think that's what Impulse is going for right here, right now, with his aforementioned AWP.
Wow, this is great from Hunter. The fact he's got towards the window, completely undetected. This could be 2-3 kills coming up. All depends how it ends up. You can see there's the first. Doesn't want to pull the trigger just yet. Going 1 for 1, but does nothing for him. He needs to at least guarantee 2 kills here. Spot out the other 2 first. Look towards this. That's perfect. Now he's got information. Go for this kill. Execute. It has to be a clean shot here. He's waiting for the opportunity. When he goes silent, when he goes still. Oh my goodness, he might have made a meal of it. Vince, that was not pretty.
It certainly wasn't, and will it cost the rest of his team the round? It's not looking like it just yet. Neno and Letney come to the rescue. But SK still have Fur and Bolts. And they've clutched these sort of rounds before. However, Fur only on 30 health is going to be an issue. SK's economy is pretty much dead. Additionally, so they may have something in the back of their mind thinking, hold on, do we just save here? Do we play for the bigger picture?
We'll see what they go for. Looks like they're at least flirting with the idea of going for this retake. Impulse with the AWP holding towards the Tetris boxes, and it looks like they might be out of luck this time. SK will have to give in, save the 2 rifles, like he said, force into the next round and see what they can do with 3 TZs, maybe an SMG or a shotgun, and these 2 M4s. I think that's the right call at this point. That was looking like an impossible retake. Maybe if at 100 HP, we could really consider that. Maybe there's a smoke available, could apply some pressure. But overall, good job by Valiance after things got a little bit awkward for Hunter there. He could have made that a beautiful play. That could have been one of those great moments. He snuck behind enemy lines, takes 2 players down, and wins the round single-handedly. He still gets a trade, and that does favor the T's technically. Even if you just get 1 for 1, that does help them out. And obviously, it throws a spanner in the works. A very discombobulated how he got towards CT spawn. And they win the round, so no harm, no foul is what I usually say. Here's the force buy. There's 2 saved M4s. A CZ, a scout, interesting enough, Fallen. And then CORSAIR with the UMP. Is it enough? I don't think so. But they've done much more with much less before.
Against teams that are much larger in stature too, and that could be another string to the bow of SK thinking, hold on a second, we can beat these guys with a CZ and UMP. I would say that Valiant's very skilled individually in terms of a bunch of players, so you can't take them lightly. But early doors, not too much action's gone down, and eerie silence on the battlefield. Valiant's just taking their sweet time, assuming control of mid. And as a result of some of these lesser weapons, likes of a CZ and UMP, they do have more utility to back themselves up, SK. So they can play the longer haul when it comes to this round. But if they damage onto Hunter, he drops to 72. But they're already taking some control over Catwalk, Henry. This is getting interesting. Valiance already making a lot of ground.
Certainly building up into something promising. Players towards a connector, but Fallen only with the scout. That might not be enough. If you tag one up and get shots in return, you're not winning that fight. We'll see whether he can find a headshot. Here's Stewie, can certainly find a kill at least. He takes down Impulse. That's a key scalp. The sniper dropped, but Letney answers back quickly. Fallen, like we said, scout in hand. Doesn't connect that one. Got a flashbang to work with it. CORSAIR now with the AK-47. This is where he'll do his absolute best work. 4 on 3. 20 seconds remaining, and it looks like it's going to slip away. the chance to get into the game and really assert their dominance there. Valiance can't do it and picked apart one by one. It felt like they really were clutching at straws towards the end, though, especially CORSAIR's pick towards the palace. As soon as he gets an AK in his hand, is that sort of positional control, 20 seconds on the clock? No chance, I'm afraid. And it will be 7-2. In terms of the reset, it's not too bad. Still one more buy for Valiance. I think there'll be a couple of compromises. Emmy will just have a flashbang. That's about it. He's got a helmet as well, so maybe he wanted to opt for a CZ there and go for the utility. Be a bit more useful for his team. But certainly the AK's an obvious option as well. As we get into round number 10, 7-2 in favour of SK on the CT side of Mirage. There's all the information you need. It's our 5th game of the day. My name's Henry. This is Vince. We've got every base covered there. And Valiance, this is the loser game.
It is. The loser goes home. And we've already had G2 knocked out the tournament.
That's so nuts. We're in our backyard.
By Envious.
Not by Envious as well. That's the worst way for it to happen. Why have you got to do them like this, DreamHack? They were supposed to be in the final. It was supposed to be fantastic. But Stewie, he'll get the first kill. Back into this one. 5 versus 4. He does take a little bit of damage, but he gets away pretty much unscathed, really. And as CORSAIR looks towards the connect, holding the angle perfectly. Ready to walk in. He didn't even preempt that. CORSAIR with 2 kills. Round over, I'm afraid. It's potentially an eco coming in. As I say, that 1 kill does come through for the Valiance boys, but that's all they find. Pretty much clean sweep in the end for SK as they stabilize once again. We had a 16-3 game in the previous, and this could be on course for a very similar result. We are hoping Valiance could post maybe double figures here, but remember, they did lose 13-2 in the first half against Mousesport, who are ranked higher than SK Gaming and still came back to make it a very explosive and exciting finish.
My only worry with that, Henry, is that was when they're on the CT side that they lost the bulk of their rounds.
That's
so
very true.
They were very good on their T side against Mousesports and very poor on their CT side. So if anything, they've got the worst coming up last.
Yeah, that's a good point. You've kind of taken the wind out of my sails there. I was kind of building it up, trying to tell the guys, you know what, it's going to be fine. You are right, though. They were posting their best work on the T side, and this does not bode well, especially this round. Second stage loss bonus, they're going to be getting $1,900 per player. That means they can buy if they really want to. It should be a full eco, really. Maybe some PG50s, a CZ or 2. I wouldn't expect much more than that, as Valiance really will be tested at this point against some of the best. And not just in terms of skill, some of the best minds in Counter-Strike got fallen behind this entire operation. And he is very experienced on Mirage. He defined the way this map should be played back in the Kaboom days, and it showed us what could be done with those executes and some of the fakes they brought to the table. This is not his first rodeo, is what I'm saying.
Oh yes, and even when the going gets tough, one of the best minds in the game to steer those very close victories. Yes. SK are down but never out of games.
Yeah, they're one of the most tenacious teams in the entirety of CSGO. Maybe not right now with this current iteration, but historically, this core are so good at getting comebacks and finding rounds and kills where they shouldn't be possible. But there it is, Fallen. That one certainly was. Takes down Neno to open things up. Like I said, not really much of a exciting round here, I'm afraid. No armor, no nades, just a few upgraded pistols. If they get 2 kills, I'll be hyped about that. That's pretty much as good as it's going to get. As we'll find ourselves in a 5-on-4. The final coming towards B. Bolt is licking his lips to the prospect of finding a 4-man spray down here. Can't quite connect the final kill, but job done as Fallen finishes things off there.
All too easy. As anticipated at the start of the round, Valiance had very little coming in through, just a deagle or 2, and that's about it. So, their eyes now on claiming the rest of the rounds on this half. I mean, if they could take a 9-6, that's a decent half on T-side of Mirage.
Absolutely.
They can still feasibly pull this off.
If you told them at the beginning of the game you're getting 9-6 in the first half, they'd probably take it. You know what? That's okay. We can recover from that. All we need is a pistol in the second half. All of a sudden, it's 9-9. That's a bit of a reach at this point, considering we're a 9-2, but still. I would say 4 rounds would be the bare minimum against SK to stand somewhat of a chance. Anything less than that, I'm going to be writing them off, I'm afraid. But we'll see what they can do here. They've been focusing on these set pieces a lot, Vince. Not too much in terms of defaults, like lots of strategies towards it, and that's fine. A lesser team, they will have to out-strategize their teams. As they get in towards B, here is the smokes and the flashbangs, the Molotovs deployed. Emmy needs to find kills here. Great shot from Impulse. He gets the double, in fact. The CORSAIR, and they're burning each other alive. What's going on, Vince? I'm not quite sure, but it's left in a 2 versus 2. Running through the teammates' flames is never going to bode well. Hunter has to hit some shots here, but double teamed by Fallen and Stewie. It's left Emmy in a position which is winnable, but the names he's up against here, Stewie, so good at clutches. Fallen drops the AWP and got the AK-47. So he's got a tough challenge ahead of him.
And he's only picked up 2 kills so far this half. just to make matters a little bit more spicy for him.
Yeah, hasn't really got settled into this game yet,
No.
not really feeling it. And SK, their calling card is slow retakes, bleeding out the T's, making them think they're safe. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you can see him, he's got no information. He doesn't even check that position. They've gone all the way around. Sure, it gets a little bit close for comfort, but what a great play that is. Sticking together, guaranteeing the round, and there it is, double digits for the SK boys. Looking strong.
I'm curious if we'll see Valiance go back to their A hits, because even though they lost a couple, they look pretty deadly there. They look pretty good.
If you can trade out kills and get the bomb down, it suggests it works very well. You should keep going with it. Sure, a couple of them slip by, but yeah, I agree. I think set pieces is where you'll find most of your rounds. You're not going to win straight up heads on duels against the SK players, at least not from what I can see right now, what they're presenting to me. I feel like the set pieces, the smokes, the flashbangs, get that bomb down and then let some of your stars have some room to actually win out a clutch. That could be something to work with. But no, he's on the MAC-10. That is not an ideal weapon. Against pistol, sure, you can farm some cash. Gun run on the T side, not so much. It's the MP9 on the CD side obviously is viable in gun runs because you can hold really disgusting angles and get baited in. Can't really do that at the MAC-10. You're just basically thrown into the bomb side first, hoping to catch someone out. He'll be on the A side of the map here. I think the play will be, they'll get ready in B. He'll maybe flash and smoke himself in towards the A site, trying to show some presence there. He can't really go for the flank once they've committed. He doesn't really have the weaponry to do that. He doesn't have an AK to pop some heads as they're rotating. He'll fall back. I think he threw a few flashbangs as his teammates get ready towards B. Great grenade by Bolts, but he is flashed and chanced it, but they can't realize it just yet. They might even lose the second frag. Fur backing him up, bomb down, and it's an absolute bloodbath here on the B bomb side. 5-on-2, Neno and Letney with nothing left to do.
No, and the bomb's also dropped in a horrific spot. It's actually down next to the van. So all Bolts has to do is just hold position. He's only got 12 health, so he's baiting for the rest of his team to come through, and there's Fur for one. And Neno is going to do a bit of damage before he is inevitably shut down. 11-2 the score.
Ouch, is all I can say about that one. You can see what they're trying to bring to the table now. Mixing things up, they've gone with some defaults, they tried the set pieces. That wasn't really a set piece either. They're just going towards B. And unfortunately, Bolt's fully flashed. He had to go down initially. If he gets no kills there, the round's on. We've got a chance, but they went in one by one. I think they were segregated by flashbangs and the incendiaries drops in their path, and nothing really they could do with that. This is falling apart now. That 11-4 scoreline doesn't even look realistic now. It's around number 14, 11-2 down. They've got CZs. One of the players without even armor. They've got a couple of smokes, flashbang, and fall, and not really missing a shot. Fur's on the AWP. I don't think we've ever seen that before. Fur's never been known to be an AWP event. It's always been CORSAIR, sometimes Taco backing them up with the AWP, and now Stewie. You wouldn't see Fur on the AWP too often, as Fallen looks to shut them down single-handedly. 2 kills for him so far. They've tagged up the last 2 as well. The bomb's down in a really awkward position, but there is a smoke. I wouldn't say the round's 100% over, but it's about 98%.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much as close as it gets. Neno on 17 and Letney on 34. They do have the AWP that Fur dropped, playing very aggressive up close. The only thing I could really think of is maybe they based it off spawns. They wanted to go for some kind of a double AWP play in mid. They felt like Fur had the best spawn for it, but now Fallen in a duel to the death. Stewie comes in and takes the kill from under his nose, 12-2. With well, I'm getting deja vu from the last map we cast.
Yeah, we haven't been given the best game so far. We're just kind of getting warmed up. It's good for us. We haven't casted since 2016, right? The beginning of 2016. So it's good for us. Nothing too strenuous. Yeah. Just kind of like, let's get lubed up, as you would say. I don't know where I was going with that. But that's why we need to have these games, Vince, so I stop dropping clangers like that. As we get into the final round, the triple AWP setup, and we'll see whether Fur can deliver some more shots with the AWP. Spots one crossing, doesn't quite connect. And last chance for Valiance. They need this 15th round. 12-3, still a glimmer of hope. 13-2, not so much.
I mean, the way this map's been going, I certainly hope the Valiants have. That's for sure.
Yes.
Can they somehow turn it round? I'm always a believer. I always want to see those epic comebacks. It's just against a team of SK's caliber with Fallen the helm.
Yeah,
it would be
the thing
crazy.
Is, Mouse Sports are kind of known for those kind of I don't want to say the word choke. That's sometimes the wrong word, but games where it looks like they've completely done it. If you think back to the major against QB Fire, 13-2 up on train, they lost that game. That's their specialty. Just looking really comfortable, flying along, then it all falls apart. you can't really remember too many SK games that they've done the same thing, right? They rarely give this sort of scoreline. Stewie just adding insult to injury here. Great flashbang. You see how effective that was. I thought Fallen was going to miss that one. I can just kind of feel it building up. It's a very difficult shot sometimes, the easiest ones, as he does make up for in the end. In the flames, he will take down Neno, and this flank from Bolts could be everything. The deciding factor here is guaranteed at least one kill, and there it is, Vince. A very... Oh. Okay, well, we're not going to be seeing Stunner this time. Vince, I thought that was some in-game chat coming in. I thought, what have we got here? That was our producer in the air, just confirming that Stunner doesn't feel like working right now. So it is going to be carrying it ourselves, as we'll see the 13-2 scoreline come in. So a chance for the guys just to kind of think, right, we've had this scoreline before. We came back from it. Can we do it again? Thing is, we got all our rounds on the T side before.
Yes.
Now we go over to the side. We got absolutely battered by Mouse Sports. Do we have enough in the tank to actually make this a possibility? I'm not so sure, but I don't know a lot about this team. I've only seen one game from them so far. I was impressed with that. Can they replicate that performance? That would be one for the ages, even if they didn't win. If they got another 16-14 up there, that would be enough to make their mark in the history book of this event, at least.
Exactly, and as we said before, this is a team that comes here as a massive underdog in pretty much every single match that they're going to play.
These are players that weren't even on our radar, really. Apart from Hunter, who's had some conversation around him. If you just said these names to me, I guess you said you've cast them before. I've never watched a single one of their games before. That's my point. Now they've got a great showcase here. As long as they don't get battered, like 16-2, all their games, they're gonna start turning some heads, and I think they certainly have. That game against Mouse Sports was great. Bit unlucky at the first half, but let's not rule them out just yet. Win the pistol. Anything is possible. It's not over until it reads 16 at the top.
So let's see, Valiance, do you have this up your sleeve? Do you have that second pistol round going your way? They do have a kit and a couple flashes. So they decide to go for the kit instead of SK, who went with nothing. Still got the defuse, of course.
Oh dear.
That Molotov, if it spreads, should be Letney's demise. And he also gets stuck. Oh, so close, but it's butchered his health down to 2 anyway. So one shot from the Glock anywhere on his body is going to be a death.
Yeah, absolutely. Even like a decoy blowing up on the floor right now would take him down. As there it is, a ding from Stewie, but still a 5-on-3. 2 players are the walking wounded. It's going to be Neno who has to do the most of the work here. This still is possible for SK, by the way. Maybe not now. Bolts.
No way.
A clean sweep.
A clean sweep with Hunter on 1, Letney on 2, Emmy on 3.
My goodness. Well, maybe something here. There is a bit of faith now coming in. A clean sweep with a pistol is exactly what you need. Coming back from that situation. I'm impressed. Well played. Didn't panic too much, even after taking significant damage. I thought Stewie was about to destroy 3 players with the Glock at close range. Didn't quite come into fruition, and I'm assuming we'll see the AKs in the third. No reason to force by heroes. Was that a dink to Letney in the back of the head?
It was.
Love to see that. It's not going to make any difference in this round. Just having a bit of fun. Is everyone at home before I get angry tweets? I know it's not going to make any difference. It's fine.
So it's a heavy investment in terms of weapons, though. All M4s. You see a lot of teams pick up SMGs here, maybe downgrade to FAMAS for extra utility, but Valiance have gone for the straight-up M4. So if it was to trade hands to the SK, things could get really interesting. Fallen's going to go peeking out with this P250. He has the bomb, and the bulk of his team actually over onto the B site. So trying to play some mind games with Valiance. They're not really biting on this too hard. Still 2 players in mid. CORSAIR is taking some damage. But slow and steady wins the race as far as SK Gaming are concerned.
Absolutely. They're the sort of team that is completely disrespectful in this sort of round as well. The P250's no armor. They seem to do that quite a lot, but I don't think that would be one of these rounds, especially that first kill going in favor of Valiance and Co. A team that made it through the qualifier process online. It's not easy to get to this event, let me tell you. That's very difficult indeed. Their path was difficult. They managed to get here. It's one of the most difficult things to do, being a team that's not invited to necessarily have to go through online qualifiers, dozens of games to get to this point. But here's Hunter. Hasn't really done much this game so far. Good to see him build up some confidence. Not too late just yet. They do have a chance to at least find their 4th round here. It's going to be Neno to close things up. It looks things. Emmy with the final frag. 13-4 Vince, and the AKs will come out. Is this the end of the run? I'm not so sure. Just to reiterate for anyone who's joining us, this is the loser game, actually. This is where the loser of this particular best of 1 will be going home. For Valiance, that wouldn't be a huge deal, really. I can't really expect them to get much further than the group stages, but if SK went out like G2 did, now that would be something. But I'm so gutted for G2. The fact we're in Marseille as well, like their hometown of sorts, and the first big tournament really in France. We had tours last time at DreamHack. This is the first Masters here. And not going to see the headline act of France performing in the arena. That's a little bit sad.
And the fact it was by Envious, a team.
It's quite poetic in that sense.
Unbelievable.
Imagine they go on to make it to like the semis now. If Envious do that, and they're the hometown favourites. Like, what a world we live in right now with that's happening. But either way, the AE set piece. How's CORSAIR got here? Goodness gracious, he's well in towards Tetris. They have no idea. Bolts towards the Palace right now. They have not got an orb to get those easy picks from the likes of Jungle and CT Spawn. They'll be relying on the M4s, obviously toe-to-toe with the AK. Doesn't come out on top, showing us exactly why. Nice execution towards Emmy. CORSAIR, he feels like he's just playing this so perfectly. He's up to Hunter now. Really needs to find some frags. Neno flashed off, and he'll fall back towards the connector.
Just really no presence at all by Valiance on the A side. He's going to allow SK to make some inroads. However, the trades have gone back and forth. 2-on-2, albeit with Hunter on 36 health. Gonna throw a speculative nade onto default. Unbeknownst to him, the bomb's actually planted on triple, where Stewie still resides. He's holding in, hoping that Bolt has his back covered. But they're not entirely sure as to where these two remaining CTs are coming from. They are going to be both together clumped, and now the nades are going to come in. Stewie takes his moment to peek out and gets one. Was hoping that Bolt would finish off the rest, but he's going to play possum and play passive, and it will very much play out for SK.
Yeah, one of the simplest 1v1s you'll get there. Bolt's knowing his team, well, his teammate had done the damage, taking him down to 4 HP, just has to aim in his general direction, pull the trigger. He's got the bomb in his favor as well. He doesn't have to do anything. Calm round from him, 14-4, and I'm going to say I think the money's in the bin. A lot of those rounds have been very close, and they'll take a pause. Let's have a look at events. They've got 3K on Hunter. The rest of them, though, apart from Neno's got 3K as well, hovering around $2,000. What's your play here? Do you go all in? It's pick your poison time, really. Do you go all in now and just potentially throw away the whole game because you just have a mixture of SMGs and rifles? Or do you let them get to match points and let it be 15-4? Those are not good options. Nothing there really is the right answer. They are going to go for the fours, but I think if you had to ask me, gun to my head, I'd say, yeah, you have to buy. You can't let SK get the match point this early on. So they'll get FAMASs, CZs, Deagles, and we'll see whether this will be enough. We'll be saying CZs with the smoke grenades, the flashbangs, and it's up to Fallen's UMP and the little fur to close this one out. I say close this one out, obviously not match point yet, but win this round, it's as good as.
Absolutely. This would pretty much be the final nail in the coffin. And this is where the two weapons they lost in the previous round against a very minimal amount of weapons is going to really catch them out. They could have had two more FAMASs, could have maybe even had an M4 in play, had they've got a clear one in the last time that they won round. So eventually it does catch up with them. Valiance, only 2 smokes and 2 flashes.
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not ideal. But these are the times you're tested the most. What can you do with the Deagle? What positions can you get yourself into? What crossfires are going to work best here? They've gone for the 4-man stacking towards B. Gambles have to be made. And unfortunately, Vince, this looks like the incorrect one because you can see SK triangulating themselves now towards the A site. There's one player waiting there for them. That's Neno. He currently has a FAMAS. That's the best weapon they have. That's good news, but unfortunately, SK have AKs, and they've got utility. And 5 players will be making their way in. And CORSAIR is currently positioned in the CPL room, so even they rotate off towards shore. This round looks like it's done already. I hate to be a pessimist. Maybe I'm just a realist. I'm not sure.
I think realist definitely is a fair statement to make here, because the fact of the matter is, FAMAS, you've only got 25 bullets rather than the 30 you'd have in an A4.
And he's smoked out.
And he's been smoked out. It just gets worse and worse as time goes on. I think for Valiance, the idea here is if we can keep a couple weapons and fight in that last round, if we're stuck together, it's going to be harder for them to take the weapons away from us on the save. But Neno is still alive somehow, some way, even though he's being pummeled through the boxes. Finally meets his demise by Bolt, but if not, it would have been Stewie anyway. And now Impulse and Letty decide, okay, let's just go in. Unfortunately, though, it's into a trap, and Fur will pounce with his Galil for 2. 15-4, 11 match points.
Yeah, I think that says it all, really. It looks like we will be saying goodbye to our second team of the tournament so far. G2 already left the building. Valiance might be up next. 15-4, 11 match points. Yes, you heard that right. SK need to lose 11 rounds in a row to even make overtime here. CZs, Smokes, Flashbangs, this is a team I think have got strong character. They'll be fighting every last second until they're out of this one. Valiance to the CZs will try and see what's possible. SK can afford to be a bit loose this round, knowing they've got this much freedom and breathing space that they'll be sending CORSAIR quickly up towards short. What a position this is. You've got window locked down and jungle arguably as well. As they look for Letney. Letney preempting a great shot with the CZ. At least gives them a fighting chance, but unfortunately Bolts did find a kill right at the same time, which gives the T's a massive upper hand. They've got an AK though.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was about to say. However, they do have an AK-47 in the hands of Hunter, who is one of the most individually skilled players that Valiance has. So let's see if they can put that AK-47 to use, as he will be running with it around window, ladder room area. Firm making movements into the A side. Pretty sure he saw a player up on balcony, but wasn't too sure as to whether a second was going to be coming from the CT. Letney now next in the chopping block and gets sprayed down to perfection. That AK in the hands of Hunter is not going to play any role, and it looks like Valiance are circling the drain. Emmy 1-4, not going to happen. Bolts lands the headshot. 16-4. SK live to fight another day.
Certainly do. Wasn't quite the game we were hoping for again, but that's good news for SK. Looks like they've stabled the ship. Everything's back on course, and Valiance unfortunately couldn't cause the same fireworks they did in their first opening game. But still, a team that can take a lot away from this one. You've got some crazy names going up against you. First round, you've got Mousesports, the #2 team in the world right now. Then you've got SK Gaming, the most historic, most decorated team of all time. Like, this is very difficult, and for a team that's like just on the cusp of the top 30 to come out and take a team like Mousesports at 16-14, 16-13, whatever it was. Sure, they didn't turn up against SK, but there's a lot of teams that will do the exact same as that. So commiserations to them. We do say goodbye to our second team, and SK Gaming go marching on.
Yeah, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a team that's had a rougher run of games so far. Mousesports into SK, that's no small feat, so I mean, well played to them.
A lot of fun has been had so far. We've got one more game to bring you this evening, another elimination game, Vince. So we'll be kind of tying the evening up in a second. But I guess final thoughts on this one. Mirage, that's the only map we've seen from Valiance this tournament. Obviously, quite lucky in that respect to get their best map twice. Couldn't get a victory here today. But they'll be watching those demos back home, trying to see what they can do to improve. Do you think we'll be seeing them in more tournaments this year?
I do, yeah. I think the only way is onwards and upwards.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We've got one more game to bring you tonight, but before that, we'll throw it over to the desk with Alex and the boys.
Yes, I like that. I kind of an air of hopefulness surrounding our casters there after seeing Valiance eliminated from the CORSAIR DreamHack Masters Marseille. I'm your host, Machine. Got myself Sean Gares and Yankee Panky on the end there. He's going to kill me for that one as soon as the camera's cut. He's not a happy bunny, but Sean, just to kind of follow on with their points, I know Yanko's going to be breaking something down for us, so we will just start with you. We painted a picture of possibility for Valiance, but has SK just kind of not necessarily proven themselves, but it's been just a kind of a little bit of a slap on the wrist from us for doubting what they were capable of.
Yeah, exactly. They're still, you know, some of the best players in the world. They're not going to drop a match to super heavy underdogs like this. It's just, it's so rare that you would see a team like SK drop a match like this. So it doesn't really say much about Valiance. It says more about, you know, SK.
Sure. And I mean, but when I'm watching this, your initial expectations were it's just going to be not disrespectful, but you know, balls to the wall, just individual skill, not too much reading into the strat book. Did you get what you asked for?
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job of adapting to, you know, the mid defaults that they were trying to Valiance was trying to take on them, and then when they had to resort to sight hits, they shut those down.
Yeah.
SK did a really good job of lurking around on T side using individual skill. You saw CORSAIR walk out of A ramp. Yeah, so they just kind of bullied them, in my opinion.
At least for me, Yanko, it did just feel like a reminder that it's not all just Fallen making sick calls and one of them getting a sick round. It does seem like they've just shown us exactly what they're capable of.
Yeah, I think a game like this is also a good example of how good these guys actually are individually, right? When you watch a lot of these teams play against each other, they're equal, so you can't really, you know, everyone's so good. But once a lower tier team like Valiance shows up and then you see, and it's like, they make other guys look like amateurs, right? In some of those situations, you're looking at it, these guys are getting shot in the back, they don't even know what's going on in some of the rounds, in some of the clutches, but that's just how good SK is, and most of these tier 1 teams that can just make you look foolish like that.
They do look fantastic, and I've got a fantastic treat for you guys at home and us here at the desk. We have managed to get the fallen angel himself. Gabriel is with us. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay, this is awesome. Right, now this is where I do open up the forum. We can kind of get some answers to some of the questions we may have. Does anyone want to take the lead?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take the lead. So we saw you guys change positions drastically on CT Mirage. What kind of stemmed that? What made you guys want to move like cold into the A bomb site when he's always been a cap player?
Yeah, so there is some adaptation going through. We, of course, are trying to rebuild everything inside the game and a little bit outside as well, as we're communicating in English right now. So it's a new experience for us. It's been very challenging so far, and it's been very fun. So changing positions, trying to adapt and leave Stewie. Some positions that he likes to play, it's super important for us because we need him to play his best. And for me, Stewie is the best connector player we have in the team. He's very good there, so there's no point of not using that. And we try to adapt further, bringing him to Catwalk on B, just because we are trying something stuff new, and it's been working so far on Mirage for us.
And just to follow up from that one, just because you've already kind of addressed it, is communicating in English. You knew when Stewie was joining the team, this was going to be a big change to you guys. How has each player been finding that rather huge change in gameplay?
I think it's a great experience for all of us. What I can say is that,
by the way,
we're going to leave this situation like in a couple months and going to be able to analyze how we improve it, not only in the game, but as a persons as well. I think this is making us understand the language and actually being used every time, so everyone is improving their English skills. And this is huge for us. It's a great experience, and I think this kind of opens. I'm not even thinking about changing lineups or something like that, but we have always been very strict to pick Brazilian players. And actually, this option of bringing someone from international scene came up because we almost played with every single Brazilian player in the top level already, and we didn't see much options at that time. So with that move in the future, I'm not going to say now, we can play with other players as well. So that's a huge difference for us, Brazilian players.
So for you feel like the experiment is successful in this kind of...
I can't say it's successful until we lift a trophy, right?
Okay.
We're very used to lifting trophies, and that's the kind of standard everyone expects from us. But I think it's been very successful. We're having a lot of fun. It's been very challenging. Everyone's having a good moment and make it a good try, So it's been very
awesome.
Very awesome for us, to see it.
So you saying that, does that mean this tournament is still sort of a experiment for you, as a practice really, because you're still trying to figure out, can the new players fit the old system, or do you need to change the system a little bit as well?
No, I think it's more about us getting our confidence back and really adequating ourselves, our communication in English, because it's a very important asset in the game. But it's most about us getting used to each other and really start getting the confidence that we used to have, and it has to get back. So like the first game we played against NIP, it was a hard match. We lost both pistols, and there were situations we normally would win, but they were able to come back in 4v2 rounds, 3v1 rounds. So we were a little bit nervous at the first match. So it's all about the challenge itself. It's about playing the first match of Stewie, and I think overall we're going to be improving very fast, match by match.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you guys look great. It's stomping as well. Now, a final question before I let you go. I know you've got lots of things to do and try and get the last bit of sun here in Marseille, but Valiance, they have just kind of managed to qualify, and it was very impressive to see them manage to climb the ladder of Counter-Strike. Do you have any advice for them? Now you've seen this is their first offline event, it's not gone well. What would you if you had a chance to give some advice?
I think my advice would be pretty much the same we did when we were on their situation, playing the first tournaments in LAN and trying to get our first results. I think they have to go over the demos, check up what went wrong, check up what they could change. And those teams, mostly the teams on tier 2 teams and lesser well-known teams in Europe, they're very skilled players. And sometimes they try to take too many duels. And what I kind of found on this match on Mirage, they came with a plan where they're trying to catch us off guard a little bit on some positions, but we didn't give them space. So it was a little bit hard for them to continue from there. And I didn't see them using some of the strategies they use against most sports, for example, against us. So maybe they can take something from that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Fallen. There's only so much you can learn from 2 demos, but I appreciate it all the same. We'll be seeing more from SK Gaming as they continue in that lower bracket. Lower bracket. Still feels weird to say, but yes, indeed, they are still... They've got past the best of ones, though. They can have at least a sigh of relief. Now, Janko, just before we take our break, you do have something for us, a little nugget of info.
Yeah, it's the strategy we were talking about, where Hunter gets boosted into window and then flanks into CT in the pregame, and we saw it in this game as well. So to give a little bit of insight into how it's done and what's the thought process behind this one, really, it's not just him finding timing individually. There's stuff being done before the boost and after the boost to an extent that creates that timing really for him. And it was a bit iffy in a sense that he was waiting for his team to be close enough to take the side. He was like peeking, watching the guy on stairs, watching the guy in shadow, and you were wondering what was going to happen. But in the end, even with 1 kill, he gave enough information to his team that they were able to win the round, if we can use this now.
No, okay, I've given up. I don't think the producer can hear me. So
it was cool, but it was actually the round after that ruined Valiance. It was like 6-2 SK saved 2 guns in that round. They forced. They were in a 4v4, and Nano was alone in A apps. The rest of his team was coming connector, and CORSAIR pushed because he was pressured, had nowhere to go, pushes apps, gets the kill. That kills all pressure on A, and they lose that round, and they get reset instead. If they just, you know, could manage to get that hard reset, maybe they have an even closer game.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, fingers crossed. Sorry we couldn't get that one, Yanko. We'll maybe bring it out in the next segment, because I'd love to have seen that explained.
We have plenty of days left.
Yes, so many days for breakdowns. For now, though, before we do take a break and our last game does get set up, a quick reminder about the extra special nugget that is CORSAIR DreamHack Masters. You can go ahead and get the digital pass. Now, all the info is there. You just go to dreamhack.com/digital pass, and it gives you like multi-view highlights, and you get some exclusive content with old mate Sponge over there. So it's all worth checking out if you fancy it. For now, we take a break. When we come back, we're going to be seeing what Gambit are up to and more.
The Digital Pass. Your